Hello everyone. I'll be taking you all through a quick demo of vPV or Virtualization Performance Viewer. First of all, I would like to show you the quick time to value that vPV has to offer. So it's available as a simple extractable download as well. It's just a 38 MB zip file. So I just extract it. There's a simple batch script that you need to run, which will start up a lightweight Tomcat, and you can start using the product. So that's how simple it is to get vPV running in your environment. It just takes around 15 to 20 seconds for the Tomcat process to start up. So once it is started up, it automatically takes you to the administrative interface where you can just enter the credentials for a vCenter so that vPV can start collecting the data. So just enter the credentials and click on Add. Now vPV starts connecting to the vCenter, and within a few seconds, it will actually complete the data collection and display that in the user interface. So data collection is in progress now. So it's connected, and you can see that the data has been collected and is being visualized here. So that's the quick time to value that we are talking about. So within a few minutes, you'll actually be able to visualize the data from your virtualized infrastructure using vPV. So I have another instance that I've been running for a couple of days now. So here I'm monitoring around 400 odd VMs and around 34 ESX hosts. So you can start off with the tree map view, which gives you a quick overview of your complete environment. You can look at what are the clusters, how are they doing. I can look at all the ESX hosts in my environment. I can see how they are performing from a memory usage angle or from a CPU usage angle. By just clicking on these elements, I can look at what are the resource pools I have and how are they performing. I can look at all the virtual machines that I have. I get a complete overview of my environment. So by just looking at this, I can make out that the environment looks okay as a whole, except for one VM where the utilization seems to be high. So on one VM, it is around 71%. So I can also figure out how my whole environment was looking like, say, some 10 minutes back. So we have the slider here. You can just move the slider back and forth to just see how your environment as a whole was looking like, say, 10 minutes back or 15 minutes back. So this will give the virtualization administrator the option to figure out if there is an anomaly. Is this like a one-time aberration, or is it like an ongoing issue? So the tree map with the slider will help you figure out if there is any pattern to the behavior of the performance metrics. And let's take one more use case. Say a ticket comes and saying, okay, some particular VM is not responding well enough. So I want to search for that, and I find that in the tree here. In the tree map, it's getting highlighted, and I see that the memory utilization is around 50%. Now, I want to figure out what is exactly happening on that particular VM. So I can just right-click on it and say, show me the performance data for that particular virtual machine. So you'll get some predefined graphs which show some of the key metrics which are important for figuring out what's happening on a VM. You can look at the CPU, the memory usage, the disk reads and writes, and the CPU ready percent, along with critical and warning thresholds. So all these graphs will help you to figure out what exactly is happening on that VM and if any action needs to be taken. So here you see some microchats here. So these microchats can be used for figuring out which are the top 5 VMs from a memory usage angle or from a CPU usage angle, etc. So you can also get them highlighted within the tree map so you know which ones to concentrate on. You can also look at the underutilized VMs from a memory angle, and you can get them highlighted as well. And if you would like to look at only interesting information and filter out those where the utilization is less, so you can just move the elements, filter out the unwanted information and look at only those where the CPU utilization is greater than, say, 50% or, say, 25%, and so on. So this way you can easily filter out any uninteresting information that you don't want to concentrate on. And one more advantage that the tree map provides is it provides you a hierarchical display. where it provides a two-dimensional way of looking at performance data, where the size indicates the capacity and the color that you see on the elements indicates the utilization. For example, I have one VM here where the size is based on the available GBs, and it has around 20 GB that has been allocated to it, whereas the usage is only 7%. Whereas as I move to the right, I get the smaller VMs where the allocated GBs is around 3 and the usage is around 3%. So by just looking at those, you can figure out whether your bigger boxes are being overutilized or underutilized, and whether your smaller boxes are being overutilized or not. So all such interpretations can be easily made by just looking at the tree map view. And you can also group these elements according to, say, you can group them according to the data center or according to the clusters that they belong to, etc. So that would help you get a comparative view of how other elements in the same group are behaving. So you can look at your data store information as well to see how the storage is doing from a usage angle. Or if you are interested in latency, you can just click here and look at how the VMs are doing from a storage latency angle. Here I see, okay, one particular VM where the latency is pretty high. So I want to see if there is any particular pattern to this. I would like to group it according to the storage. And the moment I group it according to the storage, you see some interesting behavior here. So I see that most of the other data stores are doing okay, but this particular data store has a problem. Multiple VMs in this data store are having high storage latency. What could be the reason? Could be that one of the VMs is doing a lot of I/O, which is actually keeping the disk busy and impacting the performance of the other VMs as well. So now the administrator would want to figure out who's the culprit here. All right, so we'll see how vPV simplifies this task. I just right-click on it and highlight this whole group, and then now I want to compare all the VMs that are running in this particular data store. So I select the option to launch the workbench for the highlighted elements. So this would open up the performance workbench, which provides a lot of user-friendly options for visualizing the performance metrics. So I come in here, I get to see the data store and all the VMs that are running under it. So I select all the VMs, and I want to compare the number of writes, and I want to see also the say number of reads. So the moment I do this, I can easily figure out that there is one particular VM which is actually doing a lot of writes. All the others are pretty low, and one particular VM is actually doing a lot of writes. So here I can quickly figure out that, okay, maybe this is the VM which is actually causing the performance bottleneck, which is impacting other VMs that are using the shared storage. So this is how easily a virtualization administrator can use vPV to root cause a performance bottleneck. We'll go back here, so you can remove the highlights. You can remove the grouping as well. And here you see at the top the various elements, so you can quickly switch between the CPU view and the memory view and the CPU ready percent, etc. All these options are available. Now we'll quickly move on to the performance workbench. So this provides an explorer view of the environment, and all the elements that are part of the virtualized infrastructure will get listed here in a tree-like structure, as you can see here. So you get to see the data center, the clusters under it, and all the VMs, etc. So we'll see how easy it is to compare. Say if you want to compare the performance of 3 or 4 VMs with each other, you see how simple it is using vPV. You just select the instances, you get all the performance metrics that are being collected for the selected CI type. For example, we are looking at virtual machines here, so you get all the guest-related metrics listed here. So you just select the instances, and then you select the metric that you want to compare, and just drag and drop that. So you're now comparing the performance metrics for 4 different VMs in a single graph. Now, if you want to compare, similarly, if you want to get the performance metrics for the host, so you just select the and you select the metric that you want and drag and drop that. Now, similarly, you want to compare, you want to add one more metric from storage, for example. So you select that, and you just select the metric that you want and drag and drop that. So now we'll see how a correlative analysis can be done using vPV. So we have this thing called the date range panel, which allows the users to move back and forth in time and figure out if there is any particular pattern to the behavior of these metrics. So I pick up one metric and use it as a reference metric. Just drag and drop that. I see that there is a spike at this point, so I select that particular spike, and I'm actually able to visualize the data, what was happening on the VM, what was happening on the host at the same time, and what was happening in the storage at the same time. And if you want, you can also include data from the cluster, and you can see what was the CPU usage on the cluster at the same time. And you can move back to any other spike and see when there was a spike in resource utilization in one element, what was happening in all the related elements. So this is how the vPV can be used for figuring out if there is any relation in the performance behavior of related elements. So that's how simple it is. And at any point of time, you can quickly come back to the last 1 hour of data, or if you would like to see the last 1 day of data, you can do that as well, and so on. And if you would like to save these graphs for future use so that you don't have to drag and drop them again and again, so you can just save it as a favorite, you can give it a name, and you can save it. And at any point in future, you can just click on this icon to get these graphs back again. And all this information that you see here, you can also visualize it in a tabular format. And you can do things like highlighting, sorting. All those options are available. You can export this data into other formats like Excel or CSV, TSV, etc. Or if you want, you can also export this information as PDF, so that in case you want to share this information with your colleagues, wherein you're troubleshooting this information in collaboration with others, so you can export all these graphs in a PDF format and share it with others. And we also provide certain out-of-the-box graphs, which will help you draw the golden metrics for different CI types. So these graphs are different depending upon the type of CA that has been chosen. Okay, so we're looking at the different types of graphs that are available. Now I'll select a data center, and I would like to get a report for the data center. So we have multiple out-of-the-box reports that are available, which help you check for monthly trends in the performance behavior. So this one gives you the multiple statistics for a data center, like how many VMs were created, how many were deleted, etc. And then we have the data center summary, which actually gives you a brief overview of your complete data center. It gives you information like what is the kind of hardware you have, what is the kind of say how many VMs, what is the typical configuration of virtual machines that's created in my data center, etc. All such information will be available in the data center summary report. Okay, it took a while to generate, but this is the report. So it tells you for your complete data center, what are the different server models. Say I have 9 ProLine BL490C G6 boxes, and what is the hardware configuration, gives you a subtotal and a grand total as well. And it also tells you the whether there is any over or under allocation from a CPU or memory angle, what are the different types of ESX and ESXi hosts that I have, and what is the typical configuration of virtual machines that are used. So in my setup, I have 4 CPU, 8 GB VMs, which are the most commonly used. So this will help the administrator figure out what kind of VMs are typically used by their users. And you can know what are the top 5 virtualized operating systems that are being used in my data center, etc. So there are multiple reports like this which will help the administrator to actually manage their data center better. So this is a quick overview of the reports that vPV has to offer. So that brings us to a closure on the demo. I'll now pass it back on to Mary Ellen for the Q&A. Mary, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Sudhi.